This city will be erased. First, Baba Vanga's lost audio has finally surfaced, predictions for 2025. It began with a whisper, an almost forgotten murmur, tucked away in a crumbling village near Petric, Bulgaria, once home to the mysterious Baba Vanga. Behind the peeling wallpaper of a house claimed by vines and silence, something ancient waited. The man who found it wasn't searching, at least not consciously. He said he felt called, as if the past had reached into his dreams and left behind a riddle. He awoke with one haunting phrase circling his mind like a mantra or warning: one city will fall first. He didn't understand it until his hands uncovered a sealed metal box, hidden beneath floorboards worn by time and footsteps. Inside, a reel-to-reel tape recorder, eerily well preserved. And a single tape, no name, no year, just a faded symbol, an hourglass, dripping red. What you're about to hear has never been made public. This recording, lost for decades, contains predictions for the year 2025, and researchers now believe it may be authentic. Her voice, long silenced, speaks again. Before we press play on a revelation that could reshape how we view our future, take a breath. Like this video if the mystery draws you in. Subscribe to The Journey of Wisdom for deeper insights into ancient truths and forgotten voices. What you are about to witness is not just a prophecy, it's a mirror held up to our modern world. Number 1. Discovery of the tape. In the quiet outskirts of Petric, a fading town in Bulgaria whispered to be Baba Vanga's final resting place, a discovery was made that now stirs both curiosity and unease. Inside a long-abandoned house, weathered by time and silence, a man arrived not by coincidence, but guided by something stranger. He claimed he had been pulled there by a dream, a single phrase looping in his mind night after night: listen before it vanishes. He couldn't explain it, but the urge grew too strong to ignore. Inside the crumbling walls, dust swirling in the beam of his flashlight, he wandered until the light fell upon a peculiar sight. An old portrait of Baba Vanga, its colors faded, the frame cracked, her eyes still seeming to look right through the years. It was behind this worn photograph, half slipped from the wall, that something was hidden. Reaching behind it, his fingers brushed against the rough wood of a small box, long forgotten, thick with dust. Inside it lay an old reel-to-reel tape recorder. It was heavy, silent, and worn with age. No names marked the tape inside, no date to trace, only an hourglass, roughly etched into the plastic surface, as if someone had scratched it in with purpose, like a warning left for whoever would find it next. Number 2. Content of the tape. The tape opens with a burst of static, then a long, haunting silence, and then her voice. Raspy, yet unmistakable. It's Baba Vanga. The sound is layered with a low, persistent hum, as if the wind itself were listening in. She speaks calmly in Bulgarian, her tone neither fearful nor authoritative, but eerily serene, like someone reading a letter they've already memorized from a future no one else has seen. Her first words are cryptic, yet powerful. There will be a city, a place of light stretching to the sky. It will burn, but the fire will be silent. That single phrase has baffled linguists and prophecy researchers alike. A silent fire in a city of towering lights? Could she be describing a modern metropolis consumed not by traditional war or fire, but by something quieter, more insidious? Perhaps a technological or environmental catastrophe hidden beneath the noise of daily life. As the tape continues, the imagery grows darker, more surreal. She describes a storm with no wind, buildings melting like wax, and an eye in the sky watching silently from above. These aren't metaphors loosely thrown together. They feel like pieces of a puzzle waiting to be assembled. Then comes a chilling declaration. This city will not fall in war. but in peace. Peace will be the cloak under which it vanishes. What does she mean by peace being the cover for destruction? Is it political peace or a societal complacency, a false sense of security that allows the unthinkable to happen? Each line adds another layer of unease. She paints a future that doesn't come crashing in with bombs and sirens, but slips in quietly, cloaked in normalcy. The danger is not in conflict, but in the illusion that everything is fine. And she still hasn't named the city. Her tone throughout is almost detached, not cold, but matter-of-fact, as if she's not warning us, but simply reporting a destiny already written. The tape gives the sense that we're not being offered a chance to stop what's coming, only a chance to be ready when it arrives. Number 2. Content of the tape. The tape opens with a burst of static, then a long, haunting silence, and then her voice. Raspy yet unmistakable, it's Baba Vanga. The sound is layered with a low, persistent hum, as if the wind itself were listening in. She speaks calmly in Bulgarian, her tone neither fearful nor authoritative, but eerily serene, like someone reading a letter they've already memorized from a future no one else has seen. Her first words are cryptic yet powerful. There will be a city, a place of light stretching to the sky. It will burn, but the fire will be silent. That single phrase has baffled linguists and prophecy researchers alike. A silent fire in a city of towering lights. Could she be describing a modern metropolis consumed not by traditional war or fire, but by something quieter, more insidious? Perhaps a technological or environmental catastrophe hidden beneath the noise of daily life. As the tape continues, the imagery grows darker, more surreal. She describes a storm with no wind, buildings melting like wax, and an eye in the sky watching silently from above. These aren't metaphors loosely thrown together, they feel like pieces of a puzzle waiting to be assembled. Then comes a chilling declaration. This city will not fall in war, but in peace. Peace will be the cloak under which it vanishes. What does she mean by peace being the cover for destruction? Is it political peace, or a societal complacency, a false sense of security that allows the unthinkable to happen? Each line adds another layer of unease. She paints a future that doesn't come crashing in with bombs and sirens, but slips in quietly, cloaked in normalcy. The danger is not in conflict, but in the illusion that everything is fine. And she still hasn't named the city. Her tone throughout is almost detached, not cold, but matter-of-fact, as if she's not warning us, but simply reporting a destiny already written. The tape gives the sense that we're not being offered a chance to stop what's coming, only a chance to be ready when it arrives. Number 3. The revelation of the city, Vancouver. Then it happens the moment the name is finally spoken. Vancouver. A shiver runs through the room. Witnesses to the playback later described an eerie shift in the air. The temperature dropped sharply, as though the room itself was reacting. The hum on the tape deepened, almost growling, and then came the words that followed, quiet yet devastating. The water will rise, the mountain will roar, the sky will dim, and the city will be taken by the earth, not by man. The description is poetic but ominous, as if nature itself has chosen this city. Waves towering over buildings, mountains groaning with ancient force, a sky darkened not by storm but by something older, deeper. Then come the surreal images. When the bridge turns to stone and the trees walk into the sea. These phrases have defied conventional interpretation. Are they metaphors, symbolic warnings, or are they literal visions, geological upheaval transforming the landscape into something unrecognizable? Either way, the imagery is haunting. Solid structures turning brittle and lifeless, nature behaving in ways that defy logic. A dream turned nightmare. Vancouver, a city known for its tranquility, innovation, and natural beauty, becomes, in Baba Vanga's vision, the first to vanish, but not through war or chaos. Rather, through a convergence of forces that seem part natural, part cosmic. Some theorists suggest climate change could play a role. Rising sea levels, seismic instability, or even volcanic activity from the surrounding Pacific Northwest. Others look deeper, pointing to geological prophecy, dimensional rifts, or cosmic alignments. The reference to the city's disappearance not being man-made has sparked connections to the Mandela effect, a phenomenon where masses of people remember alternate versions of reality. Experiments at CERN dealing with particle collisions and possible shifts in reality. The collapse of timelines, a theory in metaphysical circles, suggesting that time as we know it may fracture or reset. To some, Vancouver isn't just a location, it's a symbol, a tipping point, a doorway. Not just the first to fall, but the first to signal a broader unraveling of what we understand as reality itself. Still here? That means you understand the importance of being prepared. Comment, awake for 2025, if you're ready to face the future with awareness, not fear. The final part of this video contains insights that could help you and your loved ones stay safe in uncertain times. Watch closely, every second counts. Number 4. Scientific context and symbolic meaning. Baba Vanga's prophecies have always stirred curiosity, but when paired with modern science, they take on an eerily plausible tone that begs for closer attention, especially when we look at a city like Vancouver. Resting on the volatile Pacific Ring of Fire, Vancouver isn't just a hub of culture and nature, but a city balanced precariously on one of the world's most seismically unstable regions. Experts have been clear. A megathrust earthquake, one capable of reshaping the land and lives in an instant, is not a question of possibility, but of timing. And it's not just the trembling earth that threatens Vancouver's serenity. Rising sea levels, triggered by rapid climate change, are quietly gnawing at its coastlines. Storm surges and floods are becoming more frequent in nearby lowlands, turning warnings into lived experiences. Meanwhile, not far from the city's edges, the majestic yet menacing Mount Baker and Mount St. Helens sit quietly, harboring the destructive power of volcanoes that could spew ash and fire into the sky, disrupting everything from air traffic to daily routines. When Baba Vanga spoke of rising water, roaring mountains, and a sky that dims, she may have been more than poetic. Perhaps she was describing a very real alignment of catastrophic forces, each one grounded in modern geological and environmental understanding. In today's world, where extreme weather and natural disasters are no longer rare but expected, her warnings resonate louder than ever. But beyond the natural threats lies a mysterious layer of symbolism that makes her prophecy even more haunting. The audio tape's label, marked with a roughly scratched hourglass cracked on one side, seems at first like a simple reminder of time slipping away. Yet for those who study symbols and ancient metaphors, it suggests something deeper, a break in the flow of time itself. A cracked hourglass may represent a rift in reality, a disruption in the predictable rhythm of cause and effect, almost as if the timeline we know is faltering. This idea is not as far-fetched as it seems when one considers how modern life often feels fractured, fast, and uncertain, how the past, present, and future sometimes feel like they're colliding. Interestingly, some have drawn connections between this symbol and the Orion constellation, which hovers above Vancouver in an hourglass shape at certain times of the year. If there's any truth to the idea of cosmic signals or energetic alignments, then the crack in the hourglass might be more than a metaphor. It could be a celestial warning. The fusion of science and mysticism here opens a doorway to contemplating not just natural risks, but the very nature of time, reality, and how fragile the balance of our world truly is. Number 5. Global consequences and prophetic meaning. 1. Vancouver as the beginning. In Baba Vanga's haunting vision, the disappearance of Vancouver is not the climax, it's the trigger. She calls it the first breath of the storm, a subtle but profound shift that marks the beginning of a worldwide unraveling. It's not an isolated tragedy, but the first domino in a chain reaction that will ripple across the globe. The prophecy speaks in paradoxes, poetic yet deeply unsettling. The cold lands will burn. The hot lands will freeze. People will walk across oceans and speak with the dead. These are not literal instructions, but rather symbols of disruption, of natural laws reversed, of reality bending. The burning of frozen places may point to Arctic wildfires and melting permafrost, while the freezing of hot lands could refer to climate chaos and extreme weather inversions. Walking across oceans may allude to mass migration due to rising seas, while speaking with the dead could signal spiritual awakenings, technological resurrection, or even metaphysical shifts in perception. Through this lens, Vancouver isn't merely a location, it's a signal, a warning that the boundary between the known and unknown is starting to dissolve. What follows won't be business as usual. It will be transformation on a global scale. 2. Humanity's rebirth through sacrifice. Some interpretations suggest that Vancouver's fate is not simply punishment or accident, it is sacrifice, a necessary offering to awaken the world. In this narrative, the city becomes a threshold, a point of death and rebirth. Baba Vanga hints at the possibility that those who survive this event will not just carry on, they will lead. They will be the seed-bearers of a new era, not chosen randomly, but perhaps intuitively drawn, prepared by fate to guide humanity through a period of collapse and into a new cycle of existence. Rather than fear, the prophecy invites reflection. Are we willing to change before we are forced to? Are we listening to the signs or dismissing them as noise? If Vancouver is the beginning, then what comes next will be shaped by how we respond, not just as individuals, but as a species. In this view, the prophecy is not only a warning, it's a call to awaken, to prepare, and perhaps to become part of something far larger than ourselves. Prophecy or mirror. What the vanishing city tells us about today. When we hear a prophecy that a city will disappear, our first reaction is often fear. But if we pause for a moment, not to panic, but to listen, maybe Baba Vanga wasn't trying to scare us. Maybe she was handing us a mirror, a message, a warning wrapped in poetry. Because behind every mysterious image and cryptic phrase, there might be something deeply real, a wake-up call for how we're living today. Let's explore 5 practical lessons that might be hidden beneath this haunting prophecy. Number 1. Silence doesn't mean safety. Silence doesn't always mean safety. In fact, it can be a quiet warning, one we often miss until it's too late. Baba Vanga once said, "There will be fire, but it will make no sound." This haunting phrase isn't just about physical fire, it's about the unseen flames of change that can consume us silently. The erosion of empathy, the slow decay of our environment, the loss of human connection in a world increasingly distracted by noise but deaf to meaning. Today, many of us walk through life with our heads down, scrolling, working, running from one obligation to another, unaware that something precious is slipping through our fingers. This is the fire with no sound. Climate change doesn't arrive with a bang, but with subtle shifts in seasons, with the disappearance of birdsong, with floods and droughts that quietly redraw the lines of our world. Disconnection doesn't happen overnight. It begins when dinner tables grow quiet, when friendships become likes on a screen, when we stop looking each other in the eyes. A Buddhist teaching reminds us, when the mind is still, the truth gets its chance to be heard. But stillness must be intentional. If we confuse silence with safety, we become passive witnesses to our own unraveling. The lesson here is vital. Do not wait for catastrophe to recognize the danger. Don't let numbness become normal. We must learn to see with open hearts, to sense when the balance is tipping, not when it has already fallen. Life today asks us to become more than just reactive. It calls us to be awake. Awareness is the gentle but firm hand that can pull us back from the edge. Just as a skilled monk watches the breath to anchor the mind, we too must observe the world, its rhythms, its tensions, its silent cries for help. It means noticing when the earth is too warm, when our children are too quiet, when a neighbor's eyes look heavy with something unspoken. These are not loud alarms, but they are signs all the same. The Buddha once taught, "Be a lamp unto yourselves." That light of inner awareness must shine outward too, illuminating the hidden dangers that complacency allows to grow. In your daily life, practice pausing not just to rest, but to truly notice. When was the last time you listened not just to words, but to what was behind them? When did you last walk without rushing, just to feel the world around you? In cultivating such awareness, we don't just avoid disaster, we become guardians of the present, protectors of what still matters. As the world grows noisier, remember, the most urgent threats might not roar. They may come quietly, like a shadow at dusk. But if we stay awake, with hearts tuned to wisdom and eyes wide with compassion, we will not be taken by surprise. And in that awareness lies our power, not to predict the future, but to shape it. Number 2. Progress without roots leads to collapse. Let's talk about something we don't always notice in the rush of modern life: the importance of roots. Not just the roots of trees, but the roots of our values, our connection to nature, and the traditions that once reminded us what truly matters. There's a story almost like a prophecy about Vancouver, a city often admired for its innovation, sustainability, and stunning modern skyline. In this story, Vancouver is the first city to vanish. But before we jump to dramatic conclusions, let's pause. What if this disappearance isn't about divine punishment or catastrophe? What if it's a mirror? A symbolic message warning us that when we chase progress without grounding ourselves in deeper values, something essential begins to erode. The prophecy might be telling us progress that loses touch with humanity, with nature, and with the wisdom of the past is like building a tower on sand. It might rise quickly, but it won't last. Let me ask you, what does progress mean to you? Is it faster technology, taller buildings, smarter cities? Or is it kinder communities, cleaner air, and a more balanced way of living? Often, we're told that the future lies in innovation, in speed, in endless growth. But Buddhism reminds us, growth without mindfulness is like fire. Without direction it burns, but it also destroys. The heart of real advancement isn't in doing more, but in being more aware, being more connected, being more in harmony. Cities like Vancouver represent a dream of the modern world, but they also raise a question. Have we been so focused on building up that we've forgotten to look down into the soil, into the spirit, into the foundation of our lives? A tree grows not just by reaching for the sun, but by sinking its roots deep into the earth. In the same way, a society thrives not just by expanding outward, but by deepening its understanding inward. And that requires balance. If we pursue progress without care, without listening to the rhythms of the natural world, then even the most beautiful cities may someday become empty shells. It's not a curse, it's a consequence. The vanishing city isn't the end, it's a reminder. A wake-up call, as if the world is asking us, are you building your life on a foundation of truth, compassion, and wisdom? Or just on ambition and appearance? When we lose that connection, when technology becomes more important than tenderness, When profit outweighs the planet, when speed overshadows stillness, we risk collapsing from the inside out. So, what can we do differently? Can we design cities that honor the earth instead of just using it? Can we educate children not only to succeed, but to care? Can we remember that advancement without values is not true progress, but a hollow illusion? These are not just questions for urban planners or spiritual teachers. They're questions for all of us. So here's the takeaway. Progress is not the enemy, but progress without roots, with no sense of where we came from or what truly matters, leads to collapse. If we want a future that lasts, we must build it not just with steel and glass, but with soul and awareness. The deeper we root ourselves in compassion, balance, and respect for life, the higher we can grow. And in doing so, we don't just save a city, we create a world worth living in. If this message touched something in your heart, leave a comment below. Just write, "Progress needs roots." That's it. A small reminder that true growth starts from within. Number 3. False peace is a dangerous comfort. Let's talk about something that might seem comforting at first, but is actually quite unsettling when you look a little closer. Baba Vanga once said, "The city will not fall in war, but in peace." It's a haunting idea, isn't it? At first glance, it sounds like good news. Who wouldn't want peace instead of war? But let's slow down and ask ourselves, what kind of peace are we talking about? Is it the kind that brings harmony and understanding? Or is it a shallow kind of silence, where nothing appears wrong on the surface, yet the foundation is quietly crumbling underneath? Sometimes what feels like peace is just a pause, not a solution. And if we're not careful, comfort can become a cushion that numbs our awareness. We go through our days without noticing how disconnected we've become, not just from each other, but from ourselves. Is this the peace we want? Or are we clinging to it because it's easier than facing discomfort? This brings us to a powerful insight. Real peace isn't simply the absence of conflict, it's the active presence of something deeper: compassion, mindfulness, a sense of responsibility toward one another. It's not about shutting out the world or pretending everything is fine. It's about opening our eyes and our hearts, especially when it's difficult. The Buddha once said, "Peace comes from within. Do not seek it without." That means peace isn't a product of quiet streets or polite conversations. True peace is cultivated when we dare to look at what's really happening, when we care enough to ask the hard questions. What systems have we allowed to grow unchecked because it was more convenient not to challenge them? Where have we allowed injustice or suffering to exist simply because it wasn't loud or visible enough to disrupt our daily lives? We often forget that danger doesn't always roar. Sometimes it whispers. A society can erode not through explosions or uprisings, but through silence, apathy, and routine. When we stop questioning, when we stop listening to each other, we allow the roots of decay to take hold. In Buddhist thought, ignorance, avidya, is one of the 3 poisons of the mind. It's not just about not knowing facts. It's about turning away from truth, even when it's right in front of us, because it feels safer to stay asleep. But we have to ask ourselves, what are we not seeing because we don't want to see it? So I ask you, what kind of peace are you living in right now? Is it vibrant, awake, and filled with care? Or is it a quiet that asks nothing of you? The difference matters, because one leads to growth and the other to slow collapse. Think of your relationships, your community, your work. Are you showing up with awareness? Are you taking part in a peace that involves truth, compassion, and action? Or have you, like many of us at times, settled into a false peace, mistaking comfort for safety? These questions aren't meant to accuse, they're meant to awaken, because awareness is the first step toward real change. As the Zen saying goes, when the eye is unobstructed, the result is seeing. Let's clear our vision together, not just to protect ourselves, but to protect what truly matters, the health of our hearts, our relationships, our cities, and our future. So what do you see, now that you're looking a little closer? Number 4. Every individual shapes the bigger picture. If Vancouver is the first, then who's next? That's the question that often arises when we witness the unraveling of a place once considered Trivingha city, admired for its beauty, innovation, and social consciousness. But perhaps that's not the most important question. Maybe, just maybe, the real question is more personal, more immediate. Are we each part of the cause, or are we part of the cure? When we look at the crumbling of systems, communities, or even ecosystems, it's easy to feel small and helpless, as if we're watching a giant machine break down from the outside. But in truth, we are not separate from the system, we are the gears within it. Every choice we make, every conversation we have, every dollar we spend or refuse to spend, sends a ripple outward. Whether we are aware of it or not, we are shaping the bigger picture with every breath. Just as a tapestry is woven one thread at a time, so too is the future being woven through our daily actions, both big and small. There's a saying by the Buddha that reminds us, what we are today comes from our thoughts of yesterday, and our present thoughts build our life of tomorrow. Our life is the creation of our mind. This ancient wisdom is strikingly relevant today. The future is not just something we await, it's something we quietly build, piece by piece, through our intentions and actions. Living with intention doesn't mean having all the answers or becoming a saint overnight. It means being mindful of how we show up in our relationships, in our communities, and even in how we consume. It means not just reacting to the chaos, but choosing, consciously, how we respond. Are we fueling division, or are we mending what's torn? Are we numbing ourselves to the discomfort of change, or are we leaning into the opportunity to grow? The truth is, you don't need to be a prophet to shape the future. You don't need a crystal ball or a global platform. You just need presential, grounded presence and the courage to live by your values, even when it's inconvenient or uncomfortable. One act of kindness may seem small, but when repeated and echoed in the lives of others, it becomes part of a tidal shift. Every time we resist the temptation to act out of fear or anger and instead act from wisdom or compassion, we participate in healing. And when enough individuals commit to this path, a city doesn't just vanish, it transforms. It is reborn through the conscious actions of its people. So the next time you find yourself discouraged by the state of the world or wondering whether your small efforts matter, remember this. Just as each drop shapes the ocean, your presence, your integrity, your mindful choices are shaping the world in ways you may never fully see but that are deeply real nonetheless. Let this be your quiet revolution. Let your everyday life be a mirror of the world you wish to see. Because in the end, the story of a vanishing city is not just a warning, it's a call to wake up, to participate, and to realize that the future is not written for us, but with us. Number 5. The end or the beginning. It depends on us. Some see prophecies as warnings of doom, while others see them as mirrors, reflecting what we've allowed to happen. When we hear stories of a vanishing city once full of life, now overtaken by silence and ruins, it stirs something deep inside us. Is this a glimpse into a fixed future, or a reflection of choices we keep making in the present? The answer lies not in the stars or in some distant fate, but in how we respond when faced with crisis. Maybe the prophecy isn't really about the end of the world. It could be a wake-up call about the world we've created and the chance we still have to reshape it. What if it's not just about destruction, but transformation? Sometimes what looks like collapse is actually the clearing of old ground, making space for something new to grow. But here's the key. Transformation doesn't happen automatically. It's not about waiting for change to come, it's about choosing it actively and mindfully. Have you ever noticed how, in your own life, the most painful moments often bring the deepest clarity? Like the way a storm tears through but leaves the air clean, moments of loss often strip away the noise and reveal what truly matters. That's not fate, that's growth, that's the seed of rebirth. So, if you feel like things around you or even within you are falling apart, ask yourself, what needs to be let go so something new can begin? This perspective turns fear into strength. It transforms despair into possibility. In that sense, every end is also a beginning, if you're willing to see it that way. No prophecy is final if we're willing to evolve. Let that sink in. It reminds us that we're not powerless observers of destiny, we are participants. We can choose awareness over ignorance, kindness over cruelty, connection over division. The old world doesn't fall just because it was meant to. It falls when we stop nurturing it. But the new world, that begins when we start nurturing each other. Isn't that a choice worth making? So let's not ask, is this the end? Let's ask, what can I do now so it becomes a beginning? What habits, ideas, or fears are you ready to let go of? What kind of world are you helping to create with your actions today? These are questions worth holding close. Because change doesn't begin out there. It begins in how we treat ourselves and each other, in how we live every moment. In the end, the lesson is simple. Nothing is final unless we choose to stop growing, and nothing is lost if we're willing to begin again. So whether this moment feels like a collapse or a chance, know that it depends on us. The end or the beginning isn't written in prophecy, it's written in our hearts. As we reflect on Baba Vanga's chilling yet poetic vision, we're reminded that the future isn't set in stone, it's shaped by our awareness, our choices, and our willingness to grow. Whether Vancouver's fate is prophecy or metaphor, the deeper message is clear. Awaken before it's too late. If this journey stirred something within you, helped you see the world a little differently, or sparked a sense of curiosity, then I invite you to stay connected with us. Like this video, share it with others who seek wisdom in unexpected places, and subscribe to The Journey of Wisdom. And don't forget to turn on notifications so you won't miss our upcoming videos, each one a step deeper into truth, insight, and inner balance. Thank you for walking this path with me. Until next time, may your mind be still, your heart open, and your journey wise.